Audio over USB is an incredibly convenient way to send tracks into the DAW. But one of its biggest drawbacks typically is that all of the sounds are put into a single audio file or stereo 2-track. But Elektron does it a little bit differently for several pieces of gear. They have an app called Overbridge, and Overbridge allows for multi-track audio over USB. So today we're going to go over how to set it up in your DAW and a couple of different workflows you can use with gear like the Digitakt to make the most out of multi-track audio over USB. Timestamps are in the description. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's quickly go over how to set this up. Before we can get into the DAW, we need to go into the system settings and go over to USB config, and you're gonna set it to Overbridge. And once that's done, you wanna go back a couple of menus, go to routing, and you're gonna go to the route to main, and the green ones mean it's going to the main out. And so we actually don't want that for all of the sample tracks. So you're actually gonna go and click off all of them. You can leave filter and amp, those are the effects, or you can shut them off if you want. But the way we're gonna do the routing, delay and reverb will go to the main out, which we'll keep as that 10th channel, with the 9th being the audio. Then once you've got that, set your DAW to at least input Digitakt, and then the output you can actually set to your gear, but I'm going to use just the speakers so that I can hear it on my headphones. From there, you're going to need to create a track for it, and make sure you choose one of the multi-output ones so that it's spread across all of the tracks that we need. So this will look like you've created one track, but you can actually open up down at the bottom the plus sign, and you'll see all of the audio tracks, with each one being one of the tracks in the Digitakt, and then one being all of the effects. Then next up, we're gonna need to make bus tracks for each of them. So if you just highlight all of them and hold Option, then go to the bus, you can actually select bus and it will do all of them in an ascending order. All right, next up, you're gonna want to make 10 audio tracks. And if you set the first one to bus 1, then it will set the rest of them to the ascending order through to bus 10, so that all of them are gonna be set. And that's the setup. Now you should be good to go. Let's see what we can do with it. So that's this first method: record a loop, then build the track in the DAW because of all the mixing capabilities. So I have this track, so we're just gonna record that in. Once we have that, we'll do the sequence. And I did wanna mention that I also, on 9, have a MIDI track. So you can sequence MIDI with all of the MIDI tracks as well. So there's the MIDI, and it's coming in as MIDI. It's not an audio track, so we can even edit this. Now it just comes down to the arrangement of it. So it's not easy, but now we've got this mix. So rather than trying to mess with patterns or making duplicate patterns and muting parts and things like that, all we have to do is just copy and paste, and then just figure out what parts we want to play as the song goes. And we're gonna have a ton of flexibility in terms of automation and things like that, easier than we would have with doing it in the Digitakt. So let's start with just the pad actually. Maybe we'll have this and the click start to automate and come up. Here the click starts coming in. And then everything's gonna come in. And let's add some reverb to the snare. So see, we're not only kind of mixing, we're arranging and mixing now. And this is gonna give a lot of flexibility with how we want the sound to be. I mean, some of this is possible, obviously, on the Digi, or all of it, depending on how complex you want to get. But see how simple it is. I mean, we can just move parts, drag parts, copy, paste, do all that. And then if we wanted to even, we could sidechain just, let's say, the pad to the kick. I've just put a compressor up, and we're gonna just see. And I'm gonna throw that compressor also on the bass. So this is actually one of my favorite workflows because you can see the possibilities and capabilities of it. You can create away from the computer if you want in the Digitakt, or you can do it all connected and just sample things in and keep adding parts. But at the end of it, you can just add a ton of effects. Let's talk about method 2. You make the track in the Digi, but you record the whole session in the DAW. So the DAW is kind of acting like a tape recorder. You can set up all of the effects like we have it, but you can just record everything you're doing in the Digitakt. And so you'll see there's a kind of a secret power that lies in that any small change you make that maybe you lose, or that is only a fragment of the part, like I'm thinking really with LFOs and things like that, you can then go back and loop it and create a full idea from it. So let's hit record, and now you'll see it's just playing. So we're gonna let that play, And let's go to this one, 8. And let's go to a new source. So here there's a lot of variety in this sample, lots of chaos and things like that. So what I'm actually gonna do is go to an LFO and go to sample start time. Let's get a snare. Yeah, let's do that. So let's get a bass line. There we go. That's what I wanted. So let's just put that on 1. Okay, perfect. And let's add a filter LFO here on this one. So I'm just doing seeing what kind of is gonna work. Okay, so we've got that working. Let's also put an LFO on just the tune, and I just want very little, super slow. Just to kind of make the track drift a little bit. To the cowbell, we gotta add it. And let's add a hi-hat. And let's actually add an LFO on the length. That should be fun. We'll see what that does. Just a little bit. And let's get one more sound. Maybe another hi-hat. That's perfect. And let's just go to the start length on this one. One thing I really like for hi-hats, put an LFO on the sample start and it already makes it instantly sound like you're doing velocity changes. As you can hear, it's kind of going up and down and up and down. Okay, so now we've got all of this. Let's stop the recording and let's actually go in to what we've got. So let's get where that hi-hat came in, all of those. Let's get that last part. Yeah, right on that one. Let's go start it right there. And let's just get, let's say that much. So what I'm gonna do is go here, let's loop this. So we took the part that we liked from this long track. And maybe if there were other parts that we liked, we could put that on top or as a new sound. That long hat, where was that? I think it was right there. Yeah, right there. So let's just take that sound right there and we'll just make a new track for it. And I'm gonna just put it down here. So this part, remember we made all those changes to the hi-hat. So that hi-hat no longer sounds like that original part when we were just tapping it at random, but we can move it over to here because that's the way we're doing in this method. We've chopped it up. So we have a little hi-hat right here. Let me see if I can zoom in on the audio file. Let's just see what that sounds like right there. So it actually kind of works to strengthen that snare. Let's move that maybe here. Let's see what that's like. Yeah, we can kind of do it every other snare hit. Okay, and now we can go into MIDI. And to get the MIDI to work, MIDI on the DAW is channel 1 right now, for at least for the octave cap that I've got. So we're just gonna go to source, function, click, and default it at MIDI 1. Okay, so we'll go into the MIDI now and see how we can just keep expanding on the original idea. We took a part that we had, found a segment that we liked, chopped it, and we can build a new loop now in the DAW. And then if we wanted to, we can keep adding parts in the Digi, changing what each sample track is because we no longer need them. We have the samples in the DAW, and we can add MIDI both through the Digitakt, but also if we had a MIDI keyboard or just, you know, doing mouse and key, whatever you want to do. I'm going to quantize this because I want off, and now we can change parts. Let's drop that one. Let's drop that. Put that and stretch it. Let me move that so you can see. Let's see, that's not a right note. It seems like we're in C major, but I'm gonna see if that works. That's perfect. Now we could get more complex and actually program these encoders to alter what's going on with the MIDI channel or with the MIDI track. I'm not gonna do that. We could also automate things. Let's do one more sound, see what we've got. Let's do some sort of, yeah, I want a lead. Let's just do something really simple. Actually, let's fix the amp though. Let's get really percussive. And then in the DAW, we're gonna add an echo boy. So there we go, that's Overbridge. I love this. This is actually something I only recently started using. This is a nice way to kind of have my cake and eat it too, because I can get all of the audio tracks separate and then finish songs in the much easier arrangement of a DAW. But I'm curious to hear from you. Do you use Overbridge? How do you use it? Is it similar to this, or do you have a different workflow? If you want access to the beats that we made, sample packs from those tracks, as well as member exclusive live streams, head to the channel memberships. The link is right below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.